Hello everybody, it is Nicole from iiKiui, and today we are drawing Totally Spies. So let's not waste any time and hop right into the video. Based on your votes on last week's video, Raven got 16 votes, Totally Spies got 18, Marionette got 12, and Ro got 10. So obviously Totally Spies won because we are drawing them today. As usual, the runner-up will be an option in the voting down below. It is Raven again, and I did add Starfire to her option just because I feel like it will make the image more dynamic. I do feel a little bit bad because Raven has been there since the beginning, but it is solely based on your votes, so whatever you guys vote for and want to see, that's what I go for. So if there's a character that you really want to see, make sure to leave your vote either by replying to my comment or leaving your own comment. Either one counts. And you can also vote on Instagram when I post the drawing, and you can vote up to 2 times. So one on YouTube and one on Instagram. Voting ends next Wednesday when I post my video. That's usually when I count up the votes. However, because this week it was close to a tie, if it does end up being a tie, I will put up a community post on YouTube and an Instagram story on Instagram where you guys can vote for the tiebreaker. And after 24 hours, I will count up the votes from both platforms and decide who is the winner. So now that I'm done talking about the voting, let's actually talk about Totally Spies and the artwork. I recently rewatched the series this year, and they have full episodes here on YouTube, so if you want to watch it, I'll link it down below. But when I was watching the series, I realized that Totally Spies has really influenced my style recently. I think it's because I like their proportions and how everything is very appealing, especially from an animation standpoint. I was originally very hesitant to add them to the list because it's really difficult for me to draw multiple people in one drawing, especially when it comes to traditional art. If I were to do this digitally, then I would have a little bit more flexibility in the fact that I could scale them up or down or move them around to where I wanted them to. I could have layers, but when it comes to pencil and paper, I can't do that. However, there were a few times I did try to zoom into my paper or undo, but I realized that I can't because double tapping on a piece of paper doesn't undo the mistake. You have to actually erase it. And I tried to zoom into my paper, but then I realized that I actually have to just get closer because I can't zoom in to a certain piece with my fingers. And I don't really use my iPad that much, so I was a little bit confused, but maybe it's just muscle memory. I did make a sketch on my iPad previously to get an idea of the pose, so I didn't go in sketching blindly on camera. I do this so that I know what pose to draw, so I'm not wasting my camera battery. And this just allows me to record the sketching process so you guys can see. When sketching the positions, I noticed it didn't really seem to matter in terms of who was in the middle because in reference photos, each of them got their time in the middle. So I ended up just putting Clover in the center because for some reason, she's my favorite. I can't really pinpoint why, but I just like Clover. Maybe it's because she's kind of dramatic and comedic, so that could be why she appealed to me. But let me know in the comments who your favorite character is, whether it's one of the main 3, or maybe it's Jerry, or Brittany, or Blake. Let me know in the comments, I'm very curious to see. I thought about adding Brittany to this drawing as well, but I ended up just going for the main 3, and I might add Brittany as an option in the future, but for now I just stuck with Sam, Clover, and Alex. As for the gadgets, I chose ones that I felt like they use most often, so I chose the Wind Tunnel 3000, Laser Lipstick, and the Jetpack Backpack. There are different versions of the gadgets, but I ended up going for the older ones, like the yellow and pink wind tunnel and the fuchsia and yellow jetpack backpack. I just felt like those were the ones that I remembered, so that's what I wanted to include. However, the laser lipstick, I forgot that I was going to make it gold, and I ended up outlining it in purple, so it's purple now. And if you want to know a random fact, my notification sound on my phone is actually the compounder sound, so I obviously still like Totally Spies. When I completed the sketch, I felt like Alex was ever so slightly too far away, that she felt a little bit disconnected from Clover and Sam, but that was easily fixed because I transferred my art onto marker paper. Since I transferred my art onto another piece of paper, I just traced Clover and Sam first, and then I shifted the paper over and traced Alex after I moved her into a position that I wanted. And as I've been doing recently, I transferred the drawing using the Prismacolor Colorase pencils in colors that I knew I was going to use, so since these characters are not mine, I knew their color scheme ahead of time. And if you want to create a similar effect but not spend money on Prismacolors, because I know they can be expensive in other places, I would suggest just using any colored pencils because I think the effect is pretty much the same. The only benefit the Colorase has is that it's easier to erase. Moving on to coloring. So I use markers as I normally do for these videos, and I just feel like that's my medium I'm most comfortable with. I tried out these new markers that I will be reviewing next week, so if you're interested, then be on the lookout for that. But one of the things that I've come across recently is that this marker is very inky in a way. And I'm not sure if it's because I opened it too quickly or the marker is just filled with ink that it kind of splattered a little bit onto the paper. There's a little bit on Sam's belt, but you can't really see it. But the more significant part is the 2 spots on Alex's suit. And as you know, Alex has a yellow suit, which does not cover red ink. So it was difficult to get out, but ultimately I just kind of gave up and I let it be there. So now I know not to open these markers near the drawing that I'm working on. And I'll go more in depth in the review next week. So if you're interested in that, then stay tuned for the video. And as always, the list of products and their links are in the description under the materials header. When I got to outlining, I decided to keep the brown outline on Clover and Sam's eyelashes like the show. I just felt like it helped to add their more natural eyelashes instead of adding the black eyelash that I normally do on everybody. And for the final touches, I added color pencils and highlights. And recently I've been enjoying adding more detail and subtle things into my artwork because I feel like it just adds a little bit more to what I can do with only marker. Another thing I found is that when I add color pencils over the marker, it actually either gives the illusion or makes it blend better. So for example, in the shadow on the suits, there are some parts in Clover's outfit that didn't blend as well as I thought it was blended. So adding that color pencil layer on top actually helped to blend it all together almost seamlessly. And I just used the color pencil to add a little bit more shadow and a little more depth in places that were very subtle when I used only marker. Because with marker, I could only find so many matches. A lot of the colors didn't have exact matches. So mixing the colors, color pencils, and markers together helped to create those colors that I was missing. Overall, I'm really proud of the outcome. I think they look relatively proportionate to each other, which was the most challenging part in my opinion. As I mentioned before, I struggle with drawing multiple people proportionate to each other traditionally, and this checked all those boxes. So the fact that I was able to do that successfully, I'm glad that I put them out there, and I'm glad that you guys voted for them, because it forced me to do that and challenge myself instead of sticking to my normal, comfortable, safe zone. With that being said, I want to remind you to vote in the comments if you want to see a certain character. You can also leave suggestions for future characters that I can include as options. I am open to anything, even guys, because eventually I want to draw guys too. So if you like seeing videos like this, then be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified of when I post a new video. So with that, I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. Keep drawing, keep creating, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!